finally get over that hangover?
Probably Monday night.
Gosh.
Monday afternoon, I think, actually.
That's terrible. I'm a little nervous for Thanksgiving tomorrow, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm glad that I have a child now, and I don't go out on Thanksgiving and don't come home, because every year I would think it would be I could go out and get drunk, and then I could do Thanksgiving just fine. And every year I would eat shit at Thanksgiving lunch because I felt like a piece of crap. Everybody, what's wrong with you? Fucking all right, goddamn Thanksgiving. What do you expect?
Perfect. Well, let's get loaded now. Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast,
where we never finish first because we finish last.
Thank you once again for listening to the Loaded Box Podcast.
Let's go!
I am Ben Morgan. That is DJ Primo, and he has an abundance of energy compared to our Week 11 Instant Reactions podcast. You feeling better? You're back in the game?
Oh, yeah. I'm fucking ready to go play with my dick right now. It's great.
If anyone doesn't know, DJ's half black, but he looked whiter than me during that last podcast because he was toast.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Well, this is our Week 12 preview pod. We are going to have a guest on. It's our boy Mitchell Renz. We'll introduce him once we get him on, but let's jump into our Against the Spread picks right away so we can get Mitchell on here. So I went 2-1 last week. You went 1-2, and since you went 1-2 and your Embrace the Suck picks went 1-1-1.
Jesus, twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row, I go 1-1-1. How's that possible?
Yep, and since you failed to beat your Embrace the Suck picks, we will have them as well.
All right, can't wait.
All right, do you want to jump into your normal ones?
Yeah, let me scroll down through all your goddamn notes. All right, starting off here, I did a little study of this week.
First time.
You gotta try some shit every now and then, you know. So if I try this, probably do good for a couple weeks, go back to that. Maybe I should just jump back and forth between strategies that'll help me throughout the year.
There you go.
Starting out with the Dallas Cowboys +2 versus the LA Chargers. So they're getting them at home, they're getting points. So I understand the Cowboys are struggling right now. Tyron Smith should be back. It looks like he will be back, so that should be able to cut down on that lethal Chargers pass rush that they have. And that also, the return of him, should also help allow Alfred Morris for some running, find some running room, to keep that pass rush at bay. Chargers have given up the most yards to rushers this year. And I just think that the Chargers play and lose too many games, too many close games for me to trust them. I know they've been playing really well lately, but I just think that Dak's going to bounce back this game, and he's just too good of a quarterback to continue to play as poorly as he has the last game and the game before that, really. So I expect last night he might have hit the club, but tonight he'll bounce back.
This game's just too close for me to touch, and we talk about our imaginary playoff buckets, and I put the Chargers in there, but I think if there's one team that I might have jumped the gun on, it was the Chargers, because that AFC West has just kind of come down to mediocrity at this point.
The only team I have out of the AFC West in there is the Broncos. I'm too scared to put anybody else.
I know you're too scared to put them all in right now, but yeah, I have the Chargers in there right now, and I'm just a little leery on that. I don't like Dallas really without Zeke right now. Dak hasn't been playing all that well either recently, and Chargers pass defense is pretty good, so I just don't know if I can see the Cowboys having a lot of success in this game. I know they're getting points, so kind of seems really backwards. The spread almost seems backwards in my mind.
I love it.
I'm not going to touch it. What's your next one?
I'm taking Chicago plus $1 billion at Philadelphia. plus 13.5. I've only got a couple points here on this one. But the Bears defense is actually solid, and they're in every game. Just go back and look at their last 5 to 7 games. I don't know, every game. Go look at that every game. I think they had one bad loss, maybe 2, but they played they're in every game, it seems like. Plus the fact that Philly is 5-0 in their last 5 games against the spread, and the consensus on Philly makes me go Chicago. So it tells me that I need to go statistically with how it works out. I got to go Chicago here. Everybody's on Philly. Philly's 5-0 against spreads. Got to take Chicago next.
And you're basically your two touchdowns. So I would like this more if you got the exact 13.5. I mean, it's just a pile. There's some huge spreads this week. Chicago's double-digit dog. I think the Packers are double-digit dog. Dolphins are double-digit dogs. It's a huge week. So it'll be interesting to see how those big ones play out. Let's go into your third one.
All dogs for me this week. I got Buffalo Bills Plus, I gotta start jumping on overs and unders. I saw some on there that I like, but I just like late spreads. Buffalo Bills plus 9.5 at Kansas City. The Bills are 11-1-1 against the spread in the last 13 games when coming off in the second.
Who'd you steal that from? You don't do that kind of homework.
No, mama. But really, all I need to say is one thing. Tygon is back.
Oh, he was gone for 2 quarters.
Yeah, for basically 2 quarters, yeah. So, as the president of the Tyrod fan club, it would be wrong for me to pick against him. I think he comes out and pulls up the upset versus the Chiefs. Let's go.
I was telling you.
God.
Yeah, man, Ty God's back. He should have never left.
All out. Kansas City's been struggling.
So,
fuck Andy Reid's fat ass. Let's go.
I'm going to steal a stat from Levitard's show today. It was their stat of the day, and it was, in the history of the Buffalo Bills, Tyrod Taylor has the best quarterback rating in the history of the entire franchise.
That's incredible.
And they just
believe him?
Yep, and they just benched him for Nathan Little Peterman.
Stupid as, yeah, and oh god, I mean, just listening to everybody talk, like I feel like I led the charge of everybody ripping on Nathan Peterman. I feel like I was the leader of that, but just watching all the other.
As the Tyrod fan club, man, that's your job, that's your duty.
Yeah. Like I said it, everybody waited until after Peterman was a big joke. Like they kind of like, oh, this is dumb, this is stupid. But I even predicted he was going to fail miserably. I said, I'm sorry that he's going to have to do it. He just happened to be the guy that's backup. It's going to have to happen to him. And then everybody followed after his 5 interceptions when I already knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, I predicted 6, so I was even more.
You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome.
I thought about adding the Bills to mine. However, I just kind of like my 3 the way they are, so I figured I'd let you take the Bills this week for against the spread. Let's pop right into your Embrace the Suck, because it's those 3 you just did versus these are your Embrace the Suck teams. You pick them just for a random reason, just no thought whatsoever, and you see how they do against the spread. And for 2 weeks in a row, these have done better than your actual thought-out picks.
Better.
So put an end to it.
All right, so I'm going with the hottest cheerleaders. Teams, the hottest cheerleaders in the NFL, according, not my criteria.
Oh, yeah, who is this by?
A random website. According to Men's Fitness, I'm really into the Men's Fitness. Actually, I just went and Googled hottest cheerleaders, and that's what popped up there. So, so we're taking. This was 3-1. So the one team I'm about to say is number 3, the next team's 2, and the rest, and the number 1, the last one will be the top hottest team, I guess. Cheerleaders.
So number 3.
The Oakland Raiders are number 3.
Ooh, those are some thug girls, I bet. Thug girls.
Yeah, they look like smokes. They have pictures of them. So, Oakland Raiders are -4 at home versus the Denver Broncos taking.
All right, so we got the thick-ass cheerleaders for Oakland. Who's number 2?
Yeah, LA Rams.
Oh,
makes a lot of sense.
Those are the fake tits and the nice faces.
They probably got hot ones this last year. They're -2.5. -2.5 at home versus the
Saints.
On fire New Orleans Saints.
It's going to be a good game.
That'll be a fun one. Take the Rams -2.5. Money. And then lastly, looks like a typo. You're going to think it's a typo, but it's not. I did this on purpose. I'm trying to actually change this.
No one can see the agenda but me and you.
I know. You can see it, but you would think it was a typo. But I typed it in as the Washington Redskins. So I'm going to change their name by just removing one letter, and they're the Redskins, kind of like Red Sox, but like skiing.
But they're the cold weather team. If they were in Denver or something, or Utah, that'd be a perfect name for them. They could slide by and.
Dude, I just made the most easy, simple change. So we're changing to the Washington Redskins.
Nice. So you got a Thanksgiving Day game in there as well against the Giants. What was the line on that?
Yep. And the line on that is probably favored, right? Yep. Like all favorites all dogs in my picks, all favorites here.
Nice.
-7 at home.
I'm a little worried about these cheerleader rankings, though. I was always under the impression that the Redskins didn't have cheerleaders. I thought they just had a high school team. I thought they just had a high school team bringing their cheerleaders every week.
That's the Green Bay Packers.
The Packers do that? I was saying, man, these people that do Men's Fitness are in a world of hurt once people hear about this.
No, it's definitely not them.
All right, let's go into mine. And once again this week, I'm doing my pick, and I'm going to give you 3 reasons why it's right. So that Rams game against the Saints, taking the over 53.5. First reason, top flight offenses. Saints first in total offense, Rams fourth in total offense. In points per game, they're second and third. They're both over 30. They score a ton. Reason number 2, they both have phony defensive stats.
Oh, yeah.
The Rams are allowing just 18.6 points per game. Their last opponents, though, they just gave up 24 to the Vikings. But prior to that Vikings game, they played the Texans, no Watson, the Giants, no Odell Beckham, the Cardinals, nobody, and the Jaguars, Blake Bortles. It doesn't get much worse in regards to offense than those teams. And then you turn around and you look at the Saints. They're allowing around 19 points per game. Just gave up 31 to the Redskins.
Yeah.
And before that, they played the Bills, who were struggling, the Buccaneers, terribly struggling, the Bears, and the Packers without Aaron Rodgers. So
Bears don't throw the ball, so.
Yeah, phony defensive stats. And my last reason for this one is it's a Drew Brees breakout week. Last 4 games, 4 passing touchdowns. He's that type of quarterback. We've gotten used to seeing him throw for like 4 or 5 touchdowns in a game a couple times a year. I think that this game, high scoring, has a makeup of him really piling on the touchdowns, getting back into it, pleasing fantasy owners. Take the over in this game.
I enjoy that one because I'm going to talk about that one later in this podcast when it comes to our DFS. So I actually am on board 100% with that one, and you'll hear more about why.
Yeah.
Or what my reason is for taking a couple of guys on the opposite side of what people would think in this game. So 53.5, I love. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game for a lot of the reasons that you said. I think New Orleans is, very skewed.
Yeah, I'm hoping it as well.
The Redskins game kind of opened up the lights to that, and I think Jared Goff is in that offense is twice.
Right.
Just whatever.
I'm
kind of giving it away, but move on.
Number 2, Oakland Raiders -4.5 versus the Denver Broncos. Reason number 1, Paxton frickin'.
Hey, hot cheerleaders.
Okay, I got 4 reasons. Reason number 1, hot cheerleaders.
There we go.
Reason number 2, Paxton Lynch. It's not his first career start, but I think it's like number 3 or 4. More often than not, I'm going to be betting against the teams with young quarterbacks. We just saw it with Little Peterman last week. I have no faith in Paxton Lynch. Raiders need a kick in the ass. They just fired their defensive coordinator. I see it being a long day for Paxton. Reason number 2, the window's closing. Oakland is literally just hanging around right now in the AFC West. Despite in the last 8 games, they've went 2-6. The Chiefs somehow, over this entire time, they were the last team to even lose a game, have just 2 more wins than Oakland. So Raiders even have another head-to-head matchup with the Chiefs. They're definitely not out of the playoff picture here, or even for the division, which seems kind of wild.
You can actually have Oakland -4 right now, by the way.
Did it change?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to change that right now, officially.
I was just looking.
-4. I know, I did these a couple days ago. Last reason here is lots of zeros, meaning lots of zeros in the win column, both straight up and against the spread for the Broncos. They haven't won or covered a game in their last 6 games. Over that stretch, allowing over 30 points per game. We know that Oakland can score if they get their offense right. I think they should take this game by a touchdown. And they have hot cheerleaders.
Yeah, that's whatever. Hot cheerleaders, man.
All right, game number 3. Didn't want to do this year. I feel like I'm cheating. Couldn't resist.
Yeah, I hate when you do this.
Couldn't resist.
Fucking awful.
It is my 2-team tease game of the year. Book it. This is the one you're going to bet on. You're going to like this one.
Another hot cheerleader game.
Yep, the hottest cheerleaders in the NFL according to Dad Bod Fitness or whatever you're reading. The Redskins -1 versus the Giants. And then you have the Seahawks -0.5 point. So they just need to win at San Francisco. 1, I shouldn't have to sell you at all on the Redskins winning at home against the Giants by more than a field goal.
Redskins.
I'm sorry, shit. Let me start that over. I shouldn't have to sell you at all on the Redskins winning at home against the Giants by more than a field goal. We'd edit that, but we don't know how.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
And here's my other guarantee. If the Seahawks don't beat the 49ers this week, I will tell the entire world on the podcast the story of the day I lost my virginity.
I don't think anybody wants to hear that.
well, then you better hope the Seahawks win.
Everybody's cheering for the goddamn Seahawks, apparently.
Nice. Well, those are my 3. Do you have any thoughts on that one? That tease? I mean, I'm kind of cheating, but I really like it.
I hate that you do a tease. That's kind of bullshit. So I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of giving thoughts on a 2-team tease where you're giving fucking 7. Is it 6 or 7 points?
6. I did 6-point teasers.
Taking 6 points on the tease. Yeah, fuck you, man. Fuck you.
If I could replace it, I wouldn't.
Fuck you.
But if I had to, I would take the Bills.
if I could all take it back now, good. I wouldn't, or something like that. Was that rapid line?
I don't know. You have to come back another day.
It's like an Eminem song. If I could take it all back now, but I would have done more shit that people said that I should.
Oh, yeah, where he's talking about getting smashed with his daughter.
Yeah. And every time I tried to tell him no. Oh.
That's going to sound like a fart on the podcast.
Well, we'll see.
Oh, well. Let's move in real quick
was
to...
that a queef?
Yeah, it was a queef.
You queefed.
Let's do one more segment here before we bring on Mitch, and it's our Invisible Playoff Bucket Challenge. You added nobody this week. You weren't feeling it.
I'm not ready to... I looked at the teams. I liked what I have on there so far. I'm not ready to toss anybody else in the mix. So I'm going to sit where I'm at. Plus, I'm still ahead of you. So.
And I want to ask you, so the only team that I put in was the Green Bay Packers.
Fuck off.
Do you have them in your bucket already?
Oh, I think that's the dumbest thing you've ever done in your entire life.
Why?
Because it's like, you just still can't count them up. Because it's like there's Rodgers magic that he'll like somehow impose and still come back and like win a game at the end of the year, 2 games at the end of the year to make the playoffs. So I feel like he's still gonna like impose his magic mind into like, I don't know. I want to assume Hundley's gonna like get this magic out of nowhere, but we'll see. I'm not ready to count out a team that has Aaron Rodgers just sitting on the sideline.
Well, and
it's
especially,
magic, man.
I don't think he didn't smile once at Hundley against the Ravens, so there's no reason they didn't win.
Yeah, exactly. They made the playoffs 7-8-1 that one year.
Yeah, that is very true. I just have a little bit more faith in the Vikes and the Lions this year. Even though you're telling me to slow my roll, I can't do it. So the scoring update right now, you have 94 points. I have 88 points. I'm creeping up slowly. I will make a run, and I will get back up. But let's pause this puppy right now and bring Mitch in. All right, and we're back with guest Mitchell Renz. Follow him on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. Mitchell, I don't know if you know this for sure, but it is our 1-year anniversary with you. Not even sure if you remember the first time we had you on the podcast, but we did it the day before Thanksgiving last year, just like we're doing it today. We've known each other now for around a year. We've already dug pretty far into your personal life. What do you think? What do you think year 2 has in store?
I hope it's as good as year 1, and it's actually, guys, it's 363 days ago I joined your podcast.
Oh, Jesus.
November 24th.
Nice. You did more homework than I did.
Is it the day before Thanksgiving? Yes. But I do have a special planned tweet for Friday for you guys. So I do have that in store for you, so I don't want to give that away.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
No, I think you guys have definitely been my favorite podcast to come on that's not been my personal podcast. I know we've built a cool relationship. I got invited to your wedding, Ben, so it's been fun. It's been an awesome trip.
Effing right. Do you want to tell some people what you got going on as well? You talked about your own podcast. Do you want to talk a little bit more before we get going?
Yeah, so you guys can follow me on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. I'm the senior writer at Chat Sports. Give them a follow on Twitter at Chat Sports. I write for the fantasy footballers, fantasy pros, gridiron experts, and I'm a busy guy when it comes to fantasy. So also check out my Fantasy Football Rumors video podcast, which is currently top 5 in the world. Nice.
Congratulations, man. That's pretty sweet.
You're a busy guy when it comes to my fantasies as well, so...
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you're all about that fantasy life. I mean, you pop into our Google Hangouts and you already got your shirt off. I mean, I don't know what you're doing.
I'm so excited right now.
I know. I can only see from your nose up, DJ, so...
So far, so good. I gotta keep it close, though, so y'all can hear me.
Okay, it's all good.
Nice. Well, let's jump right into some daily fantasy sports talk. I want to start out right now because I need to point out that my stacks that I've been doing since I've been designating time to stacks, they have been straight fire. I did a Brady and Brandon Cook stack last week. You're welcome for all the money I made you guys if you're doing that. I got my eye on 2 of them this week. However, the first one I'm not as big on because it's Roethlisberger at 7,900 and Antonio Brown at 9,600.
Antonio who?
Antonio Brown.
Nice job.
Yeah. So Antonio Brown, I don't like this one because he's going to eat up way too much of your salary. He's $1,300 more than any other wide receiver. So I'm not opposed to using this one, but the one that I really like is Matt Ryan, 7,600, and Julio Jones, 7,800 versus Tampa. Julio had another game where he obviously didn't score, but he was going against the Seattle defense without two-thirds of the Legion of Boom, and now he's playing Tampa Bay, who basically struggles in the secondary unless they're playing the Dolphins. So I'm all about Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, and I think that's a pretty cheap stack if you're getting a guy like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones under $8,000. I never thought I'd see the day. Thoughts?
Go for it, Mitch.
So, I like the stack, and I've been trying to buy low on Julio just because the targets that are there, the yards are there. All his numbers are there. It's just the touchdowns right now aren't there. So, do I like the stack? Yeah, because I think this Falcons team is finally starting to figure it out a little bit.
Not only to automatically wait.
What was that?
Someone's hacking in on us.
Sorry.
And ever since Devonta Freeman's been down, I think they're just going to commit more to the pass.
Yeah. DJ, you, according to the notes here, you have a sleeper stack. What do you got there for us?
Yeah, and I forgot to put down their amounts, and I was trying to look it up, and the fucking goddamn commercial came on. So
That's what that was.
fucking A, and now whatever. So my sleeper stack, what's very expensive, if I remember correctly, they're Jared Goff and Sammy Watkins this week is my sleeper stack. I feel like I'm alluding to what Ben said earlier in the podcast. I know Mitch didn't hear it. But I feel like some of those stats, even the stats that New Orleans are putting up, are kind of phony based off the teams they played against. And they gave up a lot of points to Washington in this last league. So I think with Robert Woods out, that opens up the opportunity for Sammy Watkins to try to bust out. So, and I think that also, as far as your lineup go, gives you room to use Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown in your league. So those are two guys I'm definitely looking to use if I get the chance against the Packers because I hate that fucking defense.
No, I like that because the Saints defense right now is pretty banged up. They're not going to have Lattimore, I don't believe. They're not going to have Kenny Vaccaro. They're banged up right now on defense, so I like that.
Nice. Mitch, do you have any stacks that you have your eye on, or do you want us to go position by position?
Yeah, no, I got a good stack. I have that I'm doing I wrote for my Gridiron Experts, what is it, FanDuel Week 12 Best Buys and Advice, Best Bang for Your Buck plays. You guys should check it out. But I wrote about Andy Dalton at 7,200, and I wrote about AJ Green 8,300. So Andy Dalton's playing the Browns. Browns in his last 4 games, Andy Dalton 13 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and I just think at the low price of 7,200, I think it's a pretty decent price. And I mean, he put up 286 yards and 4 touchdowns when he played the Browns in Week 4 earlier this season on the road. And then AJ Green, sure, I understand a lot of teams feast on the Browns, but AJ Green in his last 2 or 3 games, 19 catches, 360 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Jeez.
So, I mean, yeah, I understand the Browns aren't good, and AJ Green at 8,300 is expensive, but I think if by going cheaper with your quarterback, with the upside of a guy like Green, I think it's a good move.
Right. I considered that one as well. What scared me, and I was actually thinking about, because I did a tease with my against the spread picks before you got into this, and I thought about putting the Bengals in there. Something about that game just makes me think that Cleveland is going to play them tough. It's just there's nothing that they've shown me this year that should really say that, but I feel like the Bengals are kind of just like that team that they'll struggle against a crappy team every once in a while, and that is the Browns, and that's what they'll do.
Love the theory.
I don't know. I'm just a little scary. I just have a hunch. It's not a stat. It's nothing about it. It's a hunch.
Obviously, people don't know what's going on, but I'm reading off some stuff on my computer, and I just come back, and you guys are naked.
I was going to ask you how you kept a straight face during all that, but
I know, because we are taking our shirts off right in the middle of that.
I was reading my notes, and when I came back, it was just...
nice.
Yeah.
Mitchell, before we go on to quarterbacks, we want to give you some quick time just to maybe get out in front of any allegations that might be coming your way with all the allegations that have been coming out about people groping, jerking off into plants, anything. The floor is yours if you need it.
No, I don't even know what kind of allegations those are. I haven't even heard about any of those.
What? What have you been doing with your life? Like Kevin Spacey and Harvey Weinstein, all that?
All the Hollywood freaking allegations?
I've heard about the whole thing with Kevin Spacey, but no, I don't. My life is realistically, I work, I come home, I go to the gym, and then I go to bed. So, or I talk to two men in their mid-30s naked. So that's realistically what I do.
Yeah.
Whoa, we're 30.
Yeah,
Right.
there's hotties at the gym though every once in a while.
Yeah, sure, we'll go with that. No, like I said, I'm on like dating apps and stuff, but
Saw you on Grindr. That's a joke.
Oh, wait.
Gotta put that out.
No, I mean, like I said, I've done the whole dating app thing, but realistically, like down here in Dallas, it's a lot easier. You just go out, talk to people. It's much easier. But like I said, I'm talking to somebody now, so it's not as crazy.
Nice. I like it. I do want, before we get into our quarterbacks, I've been working on a pickup line that I could use at the gym if I was a single guy, and I want your guys' honest feedback on this one.
Okay.
And Mitchell, if you like it, feel free to use it.
All right.
Because DJ's married too. So, all right, so you see a girl kind of eyeing her up or whatever, and you go up to her. It's probably before you leave because you don't want that awkwardness. Like if it doesn't go well, you don't want that awkwardness while you're there. So you got to do it right before you're about to leave. And you go up to her and you say, instead of making us wait and you going home and taking that time to write up an entire missed connections Craigslist thing, and then the odds of me finding it aren't very good, why don't you just give me your number right now?
That was fucking awful.
Oh, come on. I was going for like the creepy, like, I'm going to get sexually harassment things going on.
See, like, we did a show, my roommate here, he has his own morning show at Chat Sports called The Cam Rogers Show, and we talked about, like, Tinder pickup lines, and my favorite one was, like, imagine going up to a girl and just being like, did it hurt? Oh. And, like, obviously, like, she thinks, like, like, I think the one that I always think of, like, when somebody says, like, did it hurt, I think of, like, when you fall from, like, heaven, but I was like, did it hurt? And it's, like, when your head broke through the crack from the fires of hell. And, like I don't know, like, you're obviously just, like, totally ripping this chick a new one. So I thought that one was funny. But, no, I got invited to go two-stepping the other night, and apparently, I don't know, two-stepping is a very easy place to meet girls.
Two-step?
Two-step.
Did we just move back to, like, the 1940s? What happened here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, man.
It's in Dallas. Shit happens down there.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah. But, like, you go down, you do some two-stepping, tell somebody you don't know what the heck you're doing. Since you're an outsider, they're not afraid to show you.
Perfect. I like that. And then you have to hold them, so it's not even groping at that point. That's good.
Bingo.
Nice. What quarterbacks do you have your eye on in daily fantasy?
Well, I guess, I'm playing Andy Dalton. I know I kind of already said why, but
yeah.
He's really the only guy who I've really put a lot of thought and effort into this week, and it's a guy who I think had a good price, solid matchup, and he's been playing better. 5 touchdowns the last, 2 games, 0 interceptions, and Browns doesn't get much easier than that. Yeah,
one question I had for you are your thoughts on Marcus Mariota. He's kind of had a down year compared to what people were thinking. He's only $7,800 at Indy. Terrible pass defense, nearly last, I believe. But Mariota has had 2 straight games over 18 fantasy points, and that was with throwing 4 picks last week. So, thoughts on Mariota?
Oh man, he's been really struggling, Mariota, and it's kind of frustrating.
I'm thinking that DJ did something via Twitter because I got a notification and these two are laughing.
It's phenomenal. You'll see it on your Twitter. Regardless, Mariota overall though I think has been super frustrating because like when we see it from Jameis and Mariota, like these guys who we've been hyping up, they're just not putting up good numbers, and I don't really have the answers because I thought the Titans' offense was going to be a lot better, but Mariota has been very depressing.
Yeah. DJ, do you have any quarterbacks you like or questions?
No, I just went over Goff, so I'd let you go with that one.
Nice. Let's move over to running backs. Mitchell, what do you got there?
Over at running back, I got 2 guys who are a little bit lower priced. I have Dion Lewis, who I'm really high on, and then Tevin Coleman. So the reason why I like Dion Lewis at the lower price that he is, call me crazy here on this one, guys, but I think we might be able to figure out who the Patriots running back is going to be. 10 carries in 5 straight games. So he's had at least 10 carries in 5 straight games, and in those 5 games, he's total over 50 yards. Rex Burkhead fumbled last week. Mike Gillisley has been a healthy scratch the last 2.
And
Lewis
James
has been
White
getting a
doesn't
lot of
carry the
work.
ball. And when James White gets the ball, it's through the air. Like, he's not getting the carries.
But that's what I mean. So, like, I think he's a safe play who you can. I mean, the Patriots are going to score. I mean, if you can give me 10 carries from a running back on the Patriots, like, that's something I'm absolutely going to buy into. And then my other guy is Tevin Coleman. So Tevin Coleman Well, you talk about Tevin Coleman then. Go for it.
No, you go ahead.
No, I want to hear your stats, DJ.
You go ahead. I don't have a lot of stats. I just he was one of my guys to use. It was my cheap guy to use in match with Le'Veon Bell this week. So
exactly, and it's because of how cheap he is why I'm going to go with him. So, like, last 2 weeks, he's had 20 carries exactly. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns. The Falcons' offense in general has been playing better. I mean, they put up 27 against the Cowboys, 34 against the Seahawks. And I just think ultimately, if we can, they're going up against the Buccaneers, who are ranked 13th against running backs. And right now, a Falcons team that's just has more scoring opportunities. More scoring opportunities lead to more rushing touchdowns. And I think that's what you're going to get with a guy like Tevin Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just added to the fact that Devontae's just been struggling to stay healthy and stayed on the field this year, and I think Coleman's just going to continue to get his opportunities. Looks like he'll probably play. I know he went out with a concussion, but he's just been struggling to stay on the field, so I also like that for Tevin.
Yeah, I think they already ruled Freeman out.
Did they?
I think you're in the clear with that as well.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah.
Fuck. I'll take all $6,200.
Well, from like what I've read, I wrote an article on it at Chat Sports about Freeman. They're like sincerely like worried that he's going to miss like multiple weeks. I mean, this is his second. His second concussion of the season.
Yeah.
Like third in the last 2 years, and apparently like he's just not. Apparently like that's why it's been like affecting his game. Like why they haven't been using him out of the passing game as much. They're like concerned about him. I wouldn't be surprised from what I read. It was like when he sustained this concussion, I was reading like 3 to 4 weeks.
And that sucks big time for Atlanta because they just invested all that money. I think he's like the highest running back maybe of all time, at least currently. I know he is.
Highest paid.
Highest paid.
Not the highest.
He's probably
He might be the highest.
That guy plays in Pittsburgh, I'm going to guess.
Yeah. Speculation. We always like to throw that in there. I have an expensive debate here for you. All these guys are over $8,000. You got LaShawn McCoy, $8,300 against the Chiefs and their 29th ranked defense. And then you got the Saints guys. Ingram's $8,200, Kamaro's $8,100, and the Rams are 28th against the run. Which of those 3 expensive guys would you use?
I'm going to go with the Saints guys, and it's because since week 5, since Adrian Peterson was traded, they are running back 1 and running back 2 in terms of fantasy points scored, which is just something I find super incredible. And overall, like, I'm going to keep rolling with the fire that is the Saints running backs, and I think it's hard to argue.
Can you use them both, or would you just stick with one and just say, hey, I'm going to take my 15 to 20 points and be good?
Could you start both? I mean, yeah. I mean,
we talked about it last week, and it was realistic, but now they're $8,200, so it's a little bit tricky. You got to find some bargain guys to mix in there as well, but it's doable.
For sure.
One bargain running back I wanted to ask your opinion on. Christian McCaffrey, $6,700 at the Jets. Jets are 23rd versus the rush, 17th versus the pass, so they're not great on defense. McCaffrey's got like basically back-to-back 18-point games. I know it's a late November game in New York. You know about it. You were up in that area for a while. So weather starts getting a little bit ugly. But in my opinion, McCaffrey kind of seems like he can be that guy in the position where he's like that constant. He's kind of unfazed by it because he runs and he catches, and it's not like his catches are coming a long ways down the field where the wind and the weather is going to take away from that. And just a quick stat nugget, at least 5 targets in every single game. So he's like that one constant, I believe, on that offense. So I really like him at $6,700.
So I can definitely see the argument for him. I will also say, like, I mean, Jonathan Stewart last week also had like 20 carries for 117 yards or something like that. So if he's still getting the work there, and in a game that the weather could get colder, in a game where I expect them to be able to win this one, I think Stewart could get some work. But I don't think we're thinking about enough the fact that I believe Greg Olson's supposed to be back this week, and I think that's going to cut into some reception totals for McCaffrey. I mean, I think McCaffrey's getting the amount of receptions that he is just because he is the safety blanket right now for Cam. But right. I mean, that's the role Greg Olson's been in for the past. For literally Cam's entire career. So
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw his numbers dip down a little bit. But at 6,700, like you said, I mean, the amount of receptions that guy's getting, it's it's a good floor. There's no doubt. It's a safe floor.
I mean, if he gets the 4 to 5 receptions and if he gets a touchdown, I feel like you've gotten your bargain right there. But DJ, I feel like you have, I don't know if I want to call it an issue with Mitch, but something you want to address with him?
Oh yeah, we're gonna jump into that, huh?
Yeah, let's jump into that.
Left field.
He looks worried.
So, you shouted me out in your podcast the other day, but you talked about me like I was fucking Madonna. Like everybody should know who I am. It's my boy DJ. No, Loaded Box podcast DJ. Like I'm fucking Cher or something. Who am I? I'm fucking.
I said Loaded Box.
No, you didn't.
I said Loaded Box podcast.
No, you didn't.
You're telling me I didn't say my buddy. I definitely said Loaded Box podcast. I know I didn't say DJ at Loaded Box.
You said my buddy. I just played it for DJ before you got on because he can't listen to it because it's on the on my iPhone, and it was like, you kind of like stumbled into it, and then you're like, well, my boy DJ, and then you got into your like theory about Devontae Adams, and it was like he called you out like you're Cher. like the world is gonna know who DJ is.
Well, I mean, most people know who I am, so it's probably gonna work out just fine. But
Well, apologies.
No, we thought it was cool. I just thought it was really funny though.
So you're saying I didn't plug the podcast at all? I felt like I gave Loaded Box a shout out. No.
You're gonna have to go back and listen to it. You'll laugh now that you know.
Yeah, I probably will.
Nice. Well, let's keep going with our back and forth. Let's go into some wide receivers that you got your eye on.
Is that me first?
Have at it.
Cool. All right, so I already talked about why I like A.J. Green. The next guy who I'm going to go with at a lower price, $6,300, is Emmanuel Sanders. So Emmanuel Sanders now, the Broncos are about to just do full-on like makeover, I believe, and we've already seen it now that they fired their offensive coordinator, but they're playing the Raiders, who just fired their defensive coordinator. The Raiders have 0 interceptions this entire year, which is crazy. Is one of the most mind-blowing stats I've ever heard. But also, Emmanuel Sanders was actually pretty productive with a guy like Paxton Lynch last season. In the games where Lynch was quarterback, I mean, he averaged 10.5 targets a game. So I think like that just shows me that Lynch trusted Sanders a little bit. And again, if I can get 10 targets a game against the Raiders defense that I personally don't think is very good, that's something I'm going to buy into.
Yeah, I like that play as well. I would prefer to use Sanders right now over Demaryius Thomas. Did you see that report that the Broncos were considering maybe not including him in their future plans moving forward? They think he lost some strength because he switched to like a vegetarian or a vegan diet. Like, I don't know, it kind of blows my mind. Like, Demaryius Thomas was kind of always a beast. And it's like they just kind of like called him out publicly right there.
wow.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I will also say, like, Demaryius Thomas has been very good, but I don't know. I hate when people give me the argument, because we were talking about it on our NFL Daily Show, which you guys can check out on Facebook, Chat Sports. And somebody was like giving me the argument, oh, John Fox was so good back when he coached in Denver. I was like, yeah, no shit. I mean, Peyton Manning, 55 touchdowns, 39 touchdowns. Like, that's going to make a lot of people look really good. So, I don't want to say Demaryius falls into that exact same thing, but I mean, Demaryius' numbers were amazing, obviously, with Peyton, and they've kind of just been like around 1,000 yards, 90 catches, and like 5, 6, 7 touchdowns the last few years. So I'm not going to say it's all to blame on him, because the quarterback carousel's been pretty rough, but that's an interesting stat or whatever vegan thing you just said.
That's a stat. We'll give it to you.
Is that a stat?
DJ, who's your weekly bargain play at wide receiver?
Well, I've given out Antonio Brown, and I've said Watkins, so I'm going to throw out a guy to pair with the two of them, one more cheapy. I'm taking a guy also 6,300, who not quite Corey Davis, but I'm sticking with the Titans here. I'm going with Rashard Matthews. I think he's the most consistent passing target as far as fantasy goes on the Titans versus the second worst pass defense in the league. So I like that. I think that he'll get a lot of opportunities there against that Colts defense, and I like him as a cheap play.
Yeah, and Mitchell, before you jump into that, I'm just going to go into mine because you can tie these two together, because literally my bargain play is Corey Davis. Technical difficulties, so I don't know if you heard that. I wanted to talk about Corey Davis. because he's only $5,400 at Indy as well. So, Mitchell, you can talk about both these at the same time, but Corey Davis, since he's been back, hasn't topped 5 points, but he's played against the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Ravens, who are all pretty good against the pass. Colts, as DJ said, 31st against the pass. I really think this could be his breakout week. I like him and Matthews. I only would obviously use one. Do you like either of these options, I guess? You can do both Matthews and Davis.
Well, I know I talked about Davis 2 weeks ago because he was the guy who led the Titans in targets that week, but I don't know, to me it's still looking like Matthews is the favorite for Mariota, and I mean, it's one of those, it's frustrating because, like, we haven't really seen Davis break out in the way that I've hoped, but like you said, the matchups have been tough, but I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know who's going to score points this week for the Titans, like wide receivers, like that'd be foolish for me to do, but do I think there's points to be had there? Yeah, sure.
Nice. As DJ stretches and shows off his hairy-ass armpits.
That shit, I just, crack some shit here.
I've got one receiver that I would recommend as a sit, because I have, and Mitchell has shaved armpits for those who are wondering.
Fucking white person.
Larry Fitzgerald is only 7,200 versus the Jags. He's been over 16 fantasy points each of the last 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, 19 catches on 24 targets. But now he's playing Jaguars, top-ranked pass defense, and he's going to be playing with, I believe it's Blaine Gabbert again. So I'm passing on Larry Fitzgerald, even though he's only 7,200. Are you with that play, or would you let him sneak into a lineup?
The Jags are for real. Like, starting anybody against the Jags, and then considering the fact that it's Blaine Gabbert, throwing him the ball does not make me, it doesn't really, like, make me really, truly want to play him, but I will say, like, going forward, I think it's interesting, and I'm trying to bring him up here. It's Larry Fitzgerald splits this year. I don't know if you guys have seen his splits, like, home and road, but they're not as bad as what I thought. I thought they would be much worse.
Oh, way to tease that one.
I mean, like, he's got 3 touchdowns at home, and he's got 4 in the season, so he's got more yards, but I don't know. Yeah. I remember seeing that he had more touchdowns at home, but no, again, I'm not starting anybody against the Jags. Sorry for teasing that one.
Nope, no worries. We're both on the same page with sitting him. DJ, do you have any other wide receiver talk?
No, sir.
Let's do our pre-podcast Twitter poll before we go on to tight ends then. And the pre-podcast Twitter poll was, which holiday do most random hookups occur during? And New Year's Eve took the cake, and I know that was Mitchell's vote. It got 69% of the vote, which is fitting for this topic.
Nice.
The day before Thanksgiving, so today when we're recording this, got 24%, and Columbus Day came in with 5%. Mitchell, what is your theory behind New Year's Eve being in the majority here?
Well, I guess for me personally, I guess it's technically Thanksgiving, before Thanksgiving, but I don't know, I just feel like Thanksgiving for me and like Christmas and all those holidays, I think of like more like family, and then, I mean, I guess literally like what's the best way to enter your new year? You know, it's a big bang, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess, and it's not your family member, you're ahead of the game. Nice. All right, so you're thinking like you're Thanksgiving, but you're thinking like, you know, if there's probably hookups happening, it's probably on New Year's.
I mean, people get drunk. Like, I think it's pretty common. So
yeah, I see your numbers. DJ, where'd you fall on this one?
So Thanksgiving, I called it Fucksgiving for a reason here. So the night before, like Thanksgiving Day, is like nationally known as the night that you go out in your hometown. You know, it's like the most popular night to go out, I think, among all holidays, maybe of the entire year.
I think it's second behind New Year's Eve, but you're close.
God, I don't know. I think it might be number 1.
All right, let's go with it.
But like you get out there and you see that ex-girlfriend you had in high school, or that fling that you wanted to get with back in the day, and you start texting and making bad decisions, and that's when it all fucking goes down. So you hook up with that old fling back in the day, and I think that's the night before Thanksgiving. It's all fun that happens every year.
Maybe if I wasn't from like the hometown like that I am from, but like no, like I'm from the middle of nowhere. Like I'm good on the girls who I like went to high school with. I'm good on that.
Yeah, but what about the girls like 5 years younger? They still have to.
Yeah, they have needs too, Mitchell. My vote went to Columbus Day. I think it's underrated. Just in general as a holiday. I don't know why we're working on it. I mean, to steal a line from that one movie with that guy with the funny nose that has a brother in Hollywood as well.
Owen Wilson?
That's what I was thinking.
See, nailed it. Columbus Day, the man discovered the new land. I mean, what are we doing at work? Like, I don't know. So the day before Columbus Day is pretty huge. I mean, because Columbus brought over, like, he was raping people. He was doing things. He brought over disease. So, like, I just feel like it's like a dirty thing, like hookup thing. I don't know. I feel like Columbus Day kind of got the shaft here. No pun
And he
intended.
didn't even really discover us with no history lessons.
Yeah, don't look to me for history lessons. Come on. Let's move on to tight ends. Last week, I struck gold with O.J. Howard. Not gold, but 50-some yards and a touchdown. And he had another touchdown was called back. Even as a Dolphins fan, I was hoping they wouldn't call that one back. But this week, I really like Rob Gronkowski, 7,700 versus the Dolphins. Once again, terrible against touchdowns. Jared Cook put up 120-some yards.
Terrible against touchdowns or tight ends.
Did I say terrible against... No, they're terrible at scoring touchdowns, and they're terrible at covering tight ends. That's what I meant to say.
They're terrible against touchdowns.
Sorry. I had one too many of these Busch
You
Lights.
fucking suck tonight.
What I was saying, though, was they've been giving it up to tight ends. And teams are literally seeking out Kiko Alonso in coverage and just going at him with their tight ends. And now you have arguably one of the best tight ends in NFL history in Rob Gronkowski. I don't think that there's a better play. I don't really like any of the bargain guys this week. So what are your thoughts on Gronk, especially if you compare him against, like, right now it's like Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce, and Zach Ertz. Like, those are your core tight ends, and then you kind of have the rest. So of those three expensive ones, would you lean Gronk as well, or do you have your eye on someone else?
I mean, yeah, I like Gronk this week the most out of the most expensive guys as well. I mean, but I don't know. I feel like this is a week where, like you said it yourself, like I'm not crazy about any of the lower price guys, and I think a lot of people are going to go for the higher price tight ends, but it's the exact reason why I'm not going to go in for one of the higher three tight ends, because I feel like everybody's going to do it, so I'm going to go a cheaper route. But breaking news, Rob Gronkowski is actually a pretty good tight end, so
Yeah. Go ahead and use him. DJ, you have a bargain tight end?
Well, first I want to say I'm never going to not tell somebody to use fucking Rob Gronkowski, so I think that's just stupid talk, so I'm even pissed that that was even a topic of conversation.
It was safe.
But Tyler Groff, 5,700 versus the Browns. Browns suck. Give me all of those.
Nice.
Yeah, my bargain tight end is 5,500, and currently he's for the Oakland Raiders. And believe it or not, guys, Jared Cook leads the Oakland Raiders in receiving yards with 535, which exactly is disgusting.
How's that possible?
41 receptions, second most on the team, and they're playing the Denver Broncos. The Broncos this season have really struggled against tight ends, and in the last 4 weeks, Cooks has averaged 6.5 targets a game. I just think that this is a team that Oakland needs to start figuring out. They've said, like, every week going forward is now playoff week, and the Broncos have given up the second most fantasy points to tight ends on the season. 4 straight games with giving up a touchdown. It's one of those things, like, if I'm going to take a bargain tight end, give me a guy who I think has a good shot at scoring a touchdown with the yards and receptions and Cook, because that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
And if I remember correctly, didn't the Raiders and Broncos already play this year?
They did, and Cooper and Crabtree combined for like 2 catches, 12 yards or something
I
stupid.
thought I thought Cook had a big game in that game as well.
I don't know if he had a big game. I don't think they did anything in that game.
Maybe they didn't.
I think that was the game Carr got hurt.
He only had 3 for 46 that game. So
Yeah, but Cooper and Crabtree, had 2 catches?
That was also when Denver's defense was like
Legit.
playing for real, and like that team was actually like playing. Like now, I just feel like they've given up.
Yeah. Let's do we'll get to a couple fantasy football start-sit listener questions. Let's do some rapid fire quick. Which defense should I start? You got the Texans versus the Ravens, the Steelers versus the Packers, or the Chargers versus the Cowboys?
I don't even think this one's that difficult. I don't even know who the guy said was playing the Packers. That's my pick.
Yeah, that's what I said as well. I'm the Steelers on that one. DJ, are you?
Steelers.
bringing it home with all three? Clean sweep? You just don't want to say it out loud?
Nope.
All right. Number 2. Nelson Aguilar, is he going to disappear again to the extent that Corey Clement would be a better choice at my flex? Or I also have Ted Ginn, PPR league. So basically, Aguilar, Clement, or Ted Ginn.
I'll say Ginn in that case.
Yep, I said Ginn. DJ?
I'm going to lean Aguilar. I have a weakness for him. I think he actually is kind of a red zone target. Philadelphia had the chance to score last week. Knee hit the ground, but what does he have, 5 touchdowns this year?
Yeah, he's been a lot better than he has been.
He's got 5 touchdowns, but he has not done anything the last 3 weeks, and he had -2 receiving yards last week. So.
Yeah, I still like Aguilar.
Okay. All right, going against DJ this week, it should be good. Last one that we'll do here for fantasy start sits. Touchdown heavy league. You've got Cam Newton at the Jets or Jared Goff versus the Saints.
What the fuck is that?
Mitchell's eating some. Is that ice cream again? Are you eating ice cream before you go to the gym?
No, I'm eating cereal. But so I guess out of the 2 options you said, ooh man, that's tough. I'm probably gonna lean Cam against the Jets. Even though I think Goff has a good week against the Saints, who are very banged up on the defensive side. So, but I'm gonna go Cam. They had an extra week to prep for the Jets. So I'm going Cam.
Yeah, DJ and I talked about the Saints-Rams game before you got on. So I'm all into Goff. DJ, would you be on the Goff or the Cam side of this?
Yeah, I'm probably going to lean Goff here just because I gut feeling I think he's going to have a big week this week. So I'm going to lean Goff even though I do like Cam still.
Yeah, and Cam also with the rushing kind of gives you a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I just like a lot of people in that Rams-Saints game this week. I like the over in that game. I just like points being scored there.
In a normal fantasy league, I'll go Goff. But like in a what did he say? Like touchdown
dependent, yeah.
To me, like that's like I don't know. To me, a touchdown only league, I think Cam could have at least a chance of scoring more touchdowns than a guy like Goff.
Right. DJ, do you have any more just random non-daily fantasy questions you want to hit Mitchell with?
Yeah. So I remember a long time ago.
Probably about a year ago.
I think it might have been probably about a year ago. When we first met you, you mentioned that you were a professional. Was it a professional baseball player, international, right?
Yeah, I played for the Cologne Cardinals in the Bundesliga in Germany.
That's interesting. I don't really care about that. So what's foreign pussy like? Is what I really want to know. Is it hairier, different color, different accent? What's it like? Is it different?
Well, I mean, actually, I don't know. Like, I actually dated the girl from Germany. Is one of the reasons why I was over there. She was a foreign exchange student at my high school. We dated for a long time. But I mean, she spoke German. She's from Germany. She was a nice girl.
Tell us more.
Yeah, but how was her pussy?
Alright, I'm not answering that.
I figured you wouldn't.
People in Germany are much more open. They're much more like okay with sexuality, nudity. Like it's on billboards, it's on like regular television. I mean, they embrace it just like we do. So
you're telling me I should just go check the internet and I can figure it out myself?
I mean, probably. Google's a hell of a thing.
I love Google.
We're basically Germany when we do a podcast, then. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, essentially. If you guys ever want me to start speaking German, let me know.
Nice.
I don't, me and Germany don't have a good history together, so I'm going to stay away from that.
Yes. I was going to say, you can do your bold prediction for Week 12 in German, but I don't want you to scare DJ off. My bold prediction for Week 12 in the NFL is the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to pretend to have a family Thanksgiving dinner as a touchdown celebration this week against the Packers. Just like how they made the team into like a bench press and a basically like a support system and everything for a bench press. This week they're going to pretend to have a Thanksgiving dinner. DJ?
Such a bitch. I'm coming right back at you. I think the Patriots put up 24 first quarter points against the Dolphins, just a slaughter. Kind of like the Pilgrims taking land from the Native Americans here. So, very similar.
Mitchell, do you have a bold prediction for Week 12? These are pretty bold.
I was just going to say, We see Patrick Mahomes and Nathan Peterman in the Chiefs Bills game.
Oh my gosh!
They're just gonna flash by him on camera or what?
If Alex Smith continues to struggle, don't be surprised.
Yeah.
I don't think we see Patrick Mahomes.
I asked DJ on our last podcast, who is more likely to throw the next pass for the Chiefs?
That's exactly why I said it.
Travis Kelce or Pat Mahomes? And I'm not 100% sure if I want to even take a crack at that one. Let's wrap this up. Oh, yeah. Let's do one last quick thing if anyone's got anything for our latest Shit's Gotta Go segment. DJ, do you have anything? Or Mitchell, do you guys have anything this week? Mitchell's shaking his head as he's got some. You can go.
Yeah, I think in general, mashed potatoes and stuffing from Thanksgiving gotta go. Because personally, I think Thanksgiving is one of the most overrated meals. And for the entire year, we hype it up so much.
I agree with that.
Christ, get me out. I'm done with this podcast.
I agree with that.
Turkey, turkey's okay, but I would choose steak, chicken, pork over turkey. It's kind of dry. Mashed potatoes is really just potatoes mashed up. It's not really all that great. Stuffing is literally just bread. I don't know, guys. I don't really think Thanksgiving is all that great. I like the desserts, like pumpkin pie and pecan pie, and that's what I'm about. But as of the food itself for Thanksgiving, I'm good.
I totally agree, and DJ's on the opposite end of this. I think turkey is overrated. I hate stuffing. Stuffing
you love mashed potatoes, though.
That is my thing, man. If I were to ever get into an eating competition, like how there's hot wing eating competitions, hot dog, I would do mashed potatoes, and I would crush.
Bring it.
I'd crush.
Bring it.
You don't even like them.
At your wedding, I can out-eat anybody.
We'll have potatoes,
and I believe that.
We'll have potatoes there. It's going down June 30th. Mark your calendars.
Yeah.
DJ, you love that meal though. Why?
I mean, it's just I'm actually a big turkey fan. I don't know what dry turkey you're eating, but I've also had some smoked turkey at Thanksgiving, which is absolutely fucking delicious. I can do it without mashed potatoes. Hate them. I got on the fucking stuffing kick about 3 years ago. Now I'm addicted. I get a bunch of corn. I fucking love that meal. You can eat as much as you want. Sit on the fucking couch and watch football without talking to any of your family the rest of the day. It's funny.
Nice. That's a good one though. I like Mitch came hard with that Shit's Gotta Go. I like that one.
Came hard. I've got one as well.
Oh, nice. We're double dipping this week. What do you got?
Yeah. Facebook.
Just in general?
Yeah, it's gotta go. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate Facebook. I was trying to think of something. I was like, think of something on Facebook, and I'm like, wait a second. It's Facebook. Gone. Get rid of it. It's gotta go.
Nah, man, Facebook's legit.
Oh, fuck you, man.
Which is weird because me and DJ are the old people that should like it. Mitchell, you're a young buck, and usually at the young bucks, they're all into Instagram and I don't know.
Snapbase.
I like Facebook because you can make a lot of money on Facebook. So our company single-handedly, the reason why I have a job is because of how big we are on Facebook. Because it's free. You guys ever want to learn marketing techniques for Facebook? I got you.
Also, I don't like Facebook.
I can make a lot of money on websites.
It's a goddamn. I hate the goddamn There's multiple reasons. It's like everybody that I've ever had that's a racist friend of mine just comes out on Facebook, and it's goddamn everybody's looking for therapy on Facebook. I'm just gonna talk about all my goddamn feelings on this one thing. It's so annoying. I'm like, what the fuck are you saying on here? So I don't even go on it anymore.
I don't disagree, but at the end of the day, it is a way for, people to share their thoughts for 100% free. That's amazing.
Sounds like you're a spokesman for Facebook.
Yeah, Mitchell Renz Zuckerberg.
I'm just saying, man. Chat Sports, that's where we are. Facebook is the reason why I have a job, so for that, I'm grateful.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you both for contributing to Shit's Gotta Go this week. Let's wrap this up and try to keep it under an hour. Thanks again for listening. As always, tweet any of the questions that you have that you'd like answered on the podcast at Loaded Box. Tune in on Sunday after the games. We'll do our Week 12 Instant Reactions pod. Thanks once again to Mitchell Renz for putting up with our bullshit that we put him through every once in a while. He's probably our favorite guest to have on. So thank you for taking some time out of your Thanksgiving. I know you're going to go to the gym and use that one-liner I gave to you. So best of luck to you there. Do you have any other words you'd like to say before we wrap it up?
Nah, Thank you guys for letting me come on. Follow me on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. Please check out Chat Sports at Chat Sports, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Facebook.
And thank you guys. Hope you guys have an awesome Thanksgiving. We'll be in touch very soon. And as always, just let me know when you want me to come back.
Bye.